Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name is Malcolm. Today I'm talking to one of the competitors that's going to be in the Undisputed Super Middleweight Championship fight live on the Zone, live in Orlando. It's Shadasia Green. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, there's a big fight coming up in a few days now. There's going to be a lot of different type of boxing fans going into this because Jake Paul obviously brings in a different crowd of boxing from your traditional boxing fans. Do you have any nerves going into this fight with like a different audience type?
Not necessarily. I'm focused on the main thing, and that's becoming the WBC super middleweight world champion and the WBA interim title champion. So, I this fight is particularly more important than any fight I've ever fought. It's like a dream come true to be able to fight for this title finally. It seems like it's been long overdue, but I've continuously paid my dues, and that's the only thing that I can focus on right now. If there's any nerves, it's nerves in reference to me wanting to win so bad, So
Certainly, certainly. And I feel like for a lot of fans, maybe coming in from this atmosphere, maybe from like an influencer scene, from being a fan of Jake Paul, coming now into watching traditional boxing, I feel like a lot of people are now getting into like really watching your career. And I'm from Virginia Beach, and I know you played basketball at ODU, so I'm used to going to those games and whatnot. Can you share like
mhm.
your story of going from a college basketball player to a successful professional boxer?
It's the same story I've probably told more so than ever, which I think is starting to become more appealing to the audience and everybody really taking a liking to my story because it's not a natural one. Um, I started boxing as a kid. I met Barry Porter. I was a basketball player, really good basketball player at Patterson East Side. I was also a fighter, but more so on the streets and always fighting my brothers and sisters' battles. I've probably had more fights for my brothers and sisters than I've had for myself, um, way more than myself. I was playing basketball. I was pretty good at it, but I really just couldn't stand the fact of running track or running to get in shape. Hated it. So I needed to find another avenue that I can do so. I happened to be strolling down the street and walked into a gym at Ike's and Randy's on Park Ave in Paterson, New Jersey. Walked in, started training with a guy who was also my grandfather, my grandfather's trainer, which is Eddie Johnson. His son played football for Kennedy, which is our arch nemesis. And here it is, I'm a ghost. He took me on training me, but I really couldn't connect to it. So I would come in the gym when he wasn't there and hit the bag and just, do what it was that I thought he was teaching me. And I just used to see this mysterious guy sitting at the desk with his feet kicked up and some glasses on, like cop shades. You couldn't see his eyes. So he just sat there and he was never really nodding off like he was asleep, but he seemed asleep. So I'm doing something over and over, and I can tell he's waiting for me to ask him, Barry Porter. So I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you help me with something?" And it took off from there. I started learning things and I started getting really good at it and great at it. And I fell in love with it. And I remember this day like it was yesterday. It was time for me to sign a scholarship to either James Madison, Old Dominion University. I had college letters galore. Both of the letters of intent were sitting on my dining room table. I was nowhere to be found. My cell phone, I wasn't answering it. Still don't know how she got the number, but my mother called and said, "Listen, send her home now." Barry says, "Look, your mother just told me to send you home. College coaches is at your house waiting on you. I don't have a scholarship for you. Go home, follow through with that. We could pick up where we left off when you graduate." I go home, I'm furious. Mom, I don't want to go to school. The Olympics is coming up. Let me do this. She said, "Absolutely not. You're gonna do this. You're gonna go to school. You're gonna get your degree. You're gonna enjoy this experience, make friends, travel the world. And if you still want to box after you get your degree and you bring it to me and you hand it to me, I'll give you your life back." I looked at her. I said, "Okay, we got a deal." And that's exactly what I did.
So amazing. And like it's definitely working out for you. What was your degree that
Yeah,
you graduated with?
a Bachelor of Science degree in Recreation Tourism Studies.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
Mm,
What was like your
thank you.
story of like meeting up with Jake Paul and eventually like getting onto like these undercards co-main event of this card today in a few days?
I feel like I owe all that to Amanda Serrano and Jordan. Um, they had been, tweeting about me and mentioning my name on several occasions and just put my name out there because they really, took a liking to my talent. So uh, then the word of mouth travels, especially something, anything that Amanda and Jordan says is golden. They know women's boxing. They've been in it the longest. They've made the sacrifices. They fought for less, and they stayed with it. So I know they has assigned Amanda, and they're just not the type of people to leave people behind. If they can help, they will. So somehow, some way, they mentioned my name to MVP, and MVP started watching me, and they started liking what they saw. And I got a chance to perform on Jake Paul's undercard in Phoenix. I didn't do too bad. And so, next thing you know, I know before I fought on the undercard, the lawyer Rick was reaching out to my team, and at the time I had these managers that wasn't really answering the phone. So they called my trainer, which they knew very well. They reached out to Terrific, and Terrific called me and said, "Hey, they're trying to get in touch with the management team, but they're not answering the phone." So I called who was my at the time my manager, like, "Listen, you need to pick up the call. This guy Rick, he's calling. This is Jake. This is MVP. What are we doing?" They're like, "Oh, I didn't know." He picked up the phone, and that's how it happened. Got on the undercard. They enjoyed what they saw, and now I'm fully invested. I'm fully ran by MVP. With Nikisa and Jake as my managers. Man, my career. I'm not to get emotional, but I'm glad to be here. I really am.
And we're definitely glad to see you. I feel like the fight's gonna go really well in your favor. If Francon's
Yeah.
watching this right now, what's like your final thoughts for her and a prediction for the fight, if you could?
Um, with all that said, I plan to be very victorious. I plan to be dominant. Franchon is a great, great fighter, despite what I've thought about her in the past, despite things that I've said about her in the past. We have our own battles. We have our own beef from that was before this. She was a undisputed world champion, and that speaks volumes. You respect the champion, and no matter the madness that I talk about her, Franchon is an addition to women's boxing and has done a lot for the sport. So I have a lot of respect for her skill set, what she does in the ring. But I plan to be fully dominant and fully victorious. I just feel like everybody has their time, and finally, it's Shadasia Green's time.
There it is. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Where can I find you on social media if they're not already following you?
Shadasia_Green on Instagram, Shadasia Green on Facebook, Shadasia Green on Twitter. I've stayed off social media for these past couple of weeks. I wanted to be fully induced in my training, but I talk to everybody, man. I interact with the fans because there was one point where I didn't have any. So you know, find me on there. I follow you back. We talk, chop it up, and I'm just glad. I'm glad that, and I'm appreciative that you guys are following me.
So humble, so humble. Shadaza, thank you so much for your time today. Guys, my
No
name's
problem.
Malcolm. The fight's gonna be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. There's gonna be a new champion crowned. It's gonna be on the zone
Yes.
live in Orlando, and we're out.